From Troma comes a traumatic special edition of 1983's Frightmare. This is a film that I had seen years ago and I didn't like. And I got this Blu-ray to review, and I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot again. This is region ABC, by the way. So anywhere in the world you may be seeing me talk about this, you can pick up this Blu-ray and throw it in your player, and it's just going to work. This is a film from 1983 featuring Jeffrey Combs in a very early role. It is directed by Norman Thaddeus Vane and features Ferdy Mayne as the star of the film. The on-screen title is The Horror Star, which is how this, I think, was originally shot. And then it was retitled Frightmare for theatrical and video release. Jeffrey Combs, Luca, Bercovici, Nita Talbot, who you would recognize if you like old 60s TV like I do, and Leon Askin, who you would recognize if you like old 60s TV like I do. And it looks fantastic, great natural color and sharp. And the story goes a little something like this. Ferdy Mayne plays the titular, as far as this version is considered, the titular horror star who is, think of like a mix of like Vincent Price, Peter Cushing, and Christopher Lee. He's a guy who's living in Hollywood. His glory days are far beyond him. He is revered by this fan club he has at a local college who's giving him an award and doing a film festival, but otherwise he lives a very lonely life, thinking back to his glory days when he was respected as an actor. Such is not the case in 1983. He passes, not going to tell you the whole story. He passes away. His fan club decides to break his corpse out of its very interestingly designed crypt, which has video screens talking to people when you walk in and a neon sign over the entry. And it's a little bit of a children shouldn't play with dead things, where they bust a corpse out of the crypt and they're going to have a wild night of it, paying tribute and having fun. And then bad things start happening. Bad things start happening to the degree where you wonder if the corpse is really dead, or if it's a ghost, or if he's a zombie, or if voodoo is involved. You got to watch the film to find out. But when that stuff starts kicking in, it's really well done. If this is a selling point for you, it has really good gore in it. It has really good practical makeup effects of the era. And I really enjoyed this. Like, I was surprised. This is one of those films where my reaction between first and second viewing is way on the other side. This is a film I'm surprised more people don't talk about and more people don't screen anywhere, because it's really good. I would put this alongside like One Dark Night or things like that. And it's a lot of, like I say, a lot of familiar faces in this if you like 80s films. And it's a good time if you like 80s horror, 80s slasher, stuff like that. So basically what I have discerned about this release is that this film was restored and released on Blu-ray by Vinegar Syndrome a few years ago. And I've seen Troma do this with other things. I think they own the rights to a film. They license it to Vinegar Syndrome, or another company, Severin in the case of the last horror movie, who does a really nice special edition of it. And then after a period of time, Troma gets the rights back and they get the rights to re-release that essentially. So this new traumatic special edition of Frightmare is basically everything that was on the Vinegar Syndrome release, down to the transfer, the extras, all of that stuff, plus some Troma extras, which don't really have anything to do with the movie for the most part. So if you have the Vinegar Syndrome version, this is pretty much the same thing with some Troma-related stuff tacked onto it. If somehow you missed the Vinegar Syndrome version, now you can get it from Troma with some Troma-related stuff tacked onto it. So special features are Lloyd Kaufman's very personal intro that's 2 minutes. It's basically Lloyd Kaufman and Debbie Rochon. This is from a long time ago, standard def 4:3, and it's him doing an intro to any film where he keeps covering his mouth with things and somebody other voice dubs in particulars to the movie you're about to watch. It's mildly amusing. I don't know that it's 2 minutes amusing, but it's how much you love Lloyd Kaufman probably depends on that. It's amusing. It also plays when that's something that plays automatically when you start watching Frightmare on this disc, but it also is a separately viewable extra should you skip it when you're trying to watch Frightmare, or should you want to see it again by itself. That's in there. It probably was made to be used on Troma DVDs from whatever era it was recorded in. I don't know if it was used on multiples or used on one, or how it was done, but Troma, if nothing, does not disparage reusing stuff that was done a long, long time ago on new releases. So you get an archival audio commentary with, okay, this is the thing about this menu. Only one thing is listed as a commentary. When you look at the list of menu items on the supplements, there are 3 commentaries on this that run the duration of the film. So that was a surprise to me. It was a good surprise to me. But at the time, I was just like, oh, it's going to be a short interview. It's still going. The movie's playing. Oh, it's an hour and a half. The first commentary is listed as archival interview with director Norman Thaddeus Vane. It's a phone interview that was done that plays as a commentary. He talks about his life in films, amusingly insults Troma at one point, which is not the only person on the extras to do that. And it runs 84 minutes and a lot of stuff in there that salacious, scandalous, you might say. He says some things about Tony Curtis and some other people that probably wouldn't appear in other places. So it's very interesting to listen to. Not really Frightmare specific much at all, but if you're interested in the thoughts of this guy who did a lot of other work and just some good filmmaking and Hollywood stories, including stories about business dealings and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. Historical commentary with David Del Val and Dave Dakota that was done for the Vinegar Syndrome release. That's very interesting. Kind of very inside on some things very inside info on some things, let's put it that way. And Del Val has been a film horror historian for decades and knew a lot of the people involved with this. So he always has personal stories of, hanging out with some of the people you see in these films. And David Dakota was a guy who made a lot of movies in Hollywood over the years, a lot of low budget stuff, a lot of horror, exploitation, saucy films and such. The hysteria continues. That's all it says on the menu. You push that, and what it is another full-length commentary ported over from the Vinegar Syndrome release with the podcast hosts from the Hysteria Continues, who are very good. They've done several. And whenever it's a podcast doing a commentary, I'm always a little dubious because sometimes it's people just joking around a lot or mocking the film. This wasn't that. It was a lot of really interesting information. And it also trashes Troma at one point, which I thought was interesting. Very good commentary. You get the original trailer that's a minute and a half. You get an artwork gallery that's 2 minutes and set to the score. You get a gory lesson from the set of Meat for Satan's Icebox. This is 6 minutes. It is 4:3 standard def, and it's basically just Lloyd Kaufman doing a cameo in an indie film with a lot of behind-the-scenes video. Has nothing at all to do with the film that you've bought here, but if you like Lloyd Kaufman and Troma, that's there for you. You get something called Innards, which is a music video, a very Troma-centric song that's shot at the Troma headquarters that, again, doesn't really have anything to do with anything other than promoting Troma, but that's fine. Radiation March, this is on every Troma release. It was something that was shot in the 80s or early 90s, and it's basically like a kid's dance troupe doing this dance performance outside somewhere, probably in New Jersey, that has something vaguely to do with Troma and Toxic Avenger and solid and waste and things like that. It's a minute long and it's 4:3 standard def. Troma in Times Square is a 1 minute recent Troma Now promo with two people I know, Lisa and JT, as Sarah and Toxie, that was shot in New York City. You get TA in 4K, which is a 1 minute promo for the 4K edition of the Toxic Avenger films with Lloyd Kaufman. You get Coming Distractions, which are a bunch of trailers for other Troma releases. Shakespeare's Storm, Eating Miss Campbell, Curse of the Were-Deer, Sweet Meats, Kill Dolly Kill, The Toxic Avenger, Class of Nukem High, Tromeo and Juliet, and Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD. Whether you like Troma or not, this is a really good release. The Vinegar Syndrome disc is out of print, which means it's very expensive to find anywhere online. This is a very affordable way to get pretty much the same thing minus the packaging that was on the Vinegar Syndrome release, plus some Troma stuff to amuse or bemuse you. Available now on Blu-ray. Every region capable. Frightmare.